What is going on, guys? I'm Steve. I am at FF by Committee. Today, I am joined by two of the greatest minds in fantasy football. I am joined by Austin Amendolia at Austin_FFL and Andrew Metcalfe, Drew_Met_FF. Guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a great way to finish off a Tuesday with some fantasy football.
Yep, fantastic. We can smell football around the corner at this point.
So close.
Don't have it this week, so
it.
we'll be going through withdrawals this weekend. But yeah, just
But
one more
college
weekend
football
without
starts this weekend, right? So got to
Yeah,
rep
that's true.
the Seminoles and stuff. So, my Noles, we got a big game. We got LSU on the docket, so I'm excited for that.
Man. But so no tune-up game?
We had the tune-up game last week. We played Duquesne. Smoked them.
Okay.
So yeah, first time in FSU history we had 300-yard rushers. But we're not here to talk about college. We're here to talk about the NFL. So without further ado, it's time for Fantasy by Committee. Let's go.
Know the inside scoop. Do you wanna get the upper hand and put together the best game plan? Then welcome to Fantasy by Committee.
All right, thank you to my buddy Ben Michaels. He is at Ben Michaels on TikTok for singing that song for us. That is, now that the Ball Blast Girls are not here, that is the best intro you're going to find on the internet on any podcast, in my opinion. I love watching you guys down at the bottom of my screen just boop bopping along. Everyone does it. Everyone's always just like,
song. Right.
Yeah, everyone's just kind of like flowing into it. It's really funny, and I just get really happy about it. So we're about to dive into our first segment, which means I get to put another graphic up on screen, which is always my favorite thing to do. We're talking buy or sell. It is time to buy or sell players. We are right around the corner from a lot of people doing home league drafts. A lot have already done it, but there's some still coming up, mine included. So I need your guys' input on these players. We're going to start right out the gates with the GOAT. Guys, do you buy or sell over under Tom Brady finishing better or worse than the QB8?
Wait, just to be clear on this, under means like better than QB8?
Over is better, under is worse.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm taking the over here because it's Tom Brady and he's going to throw the ball just a ridiculous amount of times. Like, there's no reason to me this offense doesn't have another 650 to 700 pass attempts. And yeah, there's some offensive line concerns, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to take the over on Tom Brady. He's a top 5 quarterback perennially. And I don't think we're going to get the fall off yet. And he's going as like a 10th quarterback overall in fantasy drafts right now. So
late,
I love the value.
Late, like really late.
Yeah. So
10th round late.
I feel very comfortable taking the over on this. Yeah.
So for me, I'm taking. So do you say over is worse?
Over is better. Over is better. Under is worse.
I got you. Okay. Yep. See, I'm also gonna take the over. So I mean, I've gone into the last couple seasons kind of fading Brady, thinking that all right, this is the time. Like he's 42, he's 43, he's 40. So I'm kind of done with that at this point. I mean, we just have to realize that like some people just aren't made like everybody else. So age doesn't matter to Tom Brady. He's gonna be the only one to tell Father Time when it's time to hang it up. So I'm going with the over as well.
I've never truly seen someone be like, I will literally dictate my retirement on my own terms 100%. And Tom Brady has literally been like, since he was like in his 30s, right? He's like, I'll play till I'm 45. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, okay. You're going to play until you're 45. Like,
yeah, I remember it was like.
Now he's 45. But like, you're only going to play till you're 45? Like.
Dude, it was like 10 years ago where people were saying like, all right, we're getting to the end of Brady. Like we thought the end was coming about a decade ago. So yeah, at this point, you just can't bet against him.
I wish he had retired about 10 years ago. Then maybe my dang Atlanta Falcons would have a Super Bowl by now.
Well, hey, I'm a Rams fan, so I've also been jaded by by the Patriots.
Yeah, my happiest football memory I have is I actually got to go to the Super Bowl where It was in Atlanta against the Rams and Tom Brady's last one with my New England Patriots. I am from Boston, so I got to watch the whole thing happen. Everyone was calling it the most boring Super Bowl ever, but when you're there in the stadium and every play mattered, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I forgot this about you, Steve, that you're a Patriots fan.
I'm like kind of a Patriots fan. Well, I thought I was a Patriots fan until Tom Brady left, and then I realized that I'm like, I have no loyalty whatsoever. I root for my fantasy team. I root for my fantasy team. That's literally all I care about. I'm like, who's on my fantasy team, and that's what I cheer for. So I am basically a mercenary for hire in terms of fantasy. So, I root for three things. I root for Antonio Gibson, Chris Godwin, and Deontay Johnson, and after that, I don't care.
Gibson. He's a hot topic these days.
Yeah, you know what? I almost had him in the show, and I was like, I talk about Gibson so much, like that's so on brand.
Death on Twitter.
Don't worry, he may or may not be making an appearance later. Spoiler alert.
So we'll continue to the next player, guys. Do you have Breece Hall finishing better or worse than RB24?
I'll go first. Yep, I'll go first this time. So, as far as season end finish, I will probably say slightly worse, just because, especially based on what we saw preseason, I do think this is going to be one of those situations where we kind of have to wait for him to take over the field from Michael Carter. It was clear that they're kind of that 50-50 split right now. It was encouraging, though, to see Breece get a lot of passing downs, really over the last two preseason games. He was putting up some good blocks too, which is definitely something that'll keep him on the field. So as far as season end, he'll probably kind of be in that low end RB2 range, but I think by mid season he could easily kind of turn into one of those, the next rookies that breaks out and ends up being a league winner.
I was so surprised, and maybe you guys weren't, but I was, that the Jets went and got Breece Hall in the first place, because I thought Michael Carter was fine. I mean, I watched him in North Carolina. He was great.
Yeah, I wasn't I mean, I was a little bit shocked, but it also kind of makes a lot of sense just because
so aggressively go get the position.
Yeah, so to trade up to get a running back in general is a
bit
of a mood. Just like, why would you do that? But I get why they would go
overall or second overall, like the Giants did.
Right. I don't think it's too different than just kind of like the Marlon Mack situation in Indy before JT came. So, Mack was fine. He rushed for 1,000 yards or so, but you saw when they got JT, that took them to another level. And then all of a sudden they were a playoff team and a fearful offense. So, Michael Carter is fine, but I don't think they would really get to the next level as an offense versus like when a guy like Breece will see his ceiling. So that's kind of how I see that situation.
Yeah.
So, Austin, do you have him finishing better or worse than RB24?
So I'm going to give a really annoying answer for this just to get some insight into how I'm thinking about Breece Hall. So I have him worse in terms of where I'm drafting him. Like, I'm not drafting Breece Hall as my RB2. If I'm drafting him as my third running back, and I feel comfortable with that because I do think he finishes as above RB24 by the end of the year. I think he'll have a similar trajectory as Jonathan Taylor. Not that he's going to be a Jonathan Taylor. I don't like making those kind of predictions, but I think that he'll have that kind of second half of the year spike, and by the end of the season I could easily see him being an RB2.
Yeah, I have him currently as my RB22 overall. So that's kind of where I have him, just because I'm Carter's not bad enough to just be phased out.
Right. Yeah, he won't disappear. Yeah.
And the running backs that he's going around, it's kind of am I going to take a dart throw on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or am I going to say, you know what, let's try a rookie I've never seen him play before? We've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We have tape on him. We know how.
He's bad. That's what Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. Let's just call it what it is. He's bad. He's bad and he's slow.
I think he does a little bit better this year because I think that Kansas City is going to have to actually run the ball a bit more. But we know what this is. It's Patrick Mahomes' offense. They're going to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Similarly, you could take Miles Sanders ahead of Breece Hall, but I'm I've also seen Miles Sanders. I don't want
anything to do with them either.
And he's not bad. Too.
Miles Sanders isn't even bad. Miles Sanders is just a victim of the universe did not want Miles. The universe did not want Miles Sanders to succeed at the NFL level. It just didn't. Once you get drafted to the Eagles as a running back, you might as well just be I'm just retired. I don't know. I'll never make it.
Kind of
I think a
Antonio
good
Gibson.
plan if you're drafting Breece in that range is to kind of build your team to where in the later rounds you pick somebody up like I guess Gibson is a good example, or Singletary, Rashad Penny, somebody that we think
I can't believe you just put
would have
Antonio
more
Gibson in
value.
with those guys. Why would you do?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, I'm just looking at a fantasy board. I mean, I feel like it's kind of, like, I mean, I haven't done a redraft recently. My redraft leagues are mainly drafting like this week or next week, but I imagine that's kind of where Gibson is falling.
Yeah, it actually
and
is.
I'm just saying, you take him with somebody that we think is going to probably have more value like early on in the season. So like Penny, for example, before, whether or not you think Kenneth Walker is going to take over, it's probably going to be Penny for the first few weeks. The same with Singletary in Buffalo as well. So I think if you are going to take like 4th or 5th round Breece, you probably should reach for, or not reach, but look for a back kind of like that you could supplement him with.
I agree. So we're both all right. So Brady, everyone was like he's going to do better than 8. We're split on Breece Hall. So let's move on to our next guy, CeeDee Lamb. Does he finish better or worse than the wide receiver 10?
This one's really tough for me. Here's the thing with CeeDee Lamb. I'm a little bit nervous about this Dallas offense. They keep losing players. They've lost offensive linemen. They've lost a couple of receivers already. So I'm a little bit worried from that standpoint. But it's like CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz at this point.
Right.
And Jalen Tolbert. But like, those are your guys until Michael Gallup comes back. And so CeeDee Lamb should be the number 1 in this offense. But also we've seen Dallas struggle to actually feed a number 1 receiver. Like they had Amari Cooper last year, but did not design plays to get him and CeeDee Lamb the ball. So I'm nervous to say that CeeDee Lamb is above wide receiver 10. So I'm actually going to hold on this one, and I'm going to say he's exactly wide receiver 10, because I can't legitimize taking him out of the top 10, but I don't feel great about his chances to really like hit that top 5, top 6 wide receivers by the end of the year.
So for me, this was
Oh no, go ahead. I was saying that was fair.
So yeah, for me, this was actually a pretty easy call. So one of my, I guess, like bold predictions, or I don't know if this is really a hot take for this year, is that CeeDee Lamb is actually going to lead the NFL in receiving yards.
That's pretty bold.
I think we're going to see one of those big time like 3rd year receiver breakouts. I mean, remember a few years ago, it used to be, receiver breakouts was year 3. Now it's kind of going more towards year 2, or I mean, Chase even has guys thinking like if you don't blow up rookie year, you're done. But I mean, I still think there's a lot to that 3rd season, which that's really the first time that a lot of receivers, fully feel comfortable as pros. And I mean, not to buy into the, vacated targets argument, but I mean, obviously losing, Amari Cooper, I mean, there's no way we can really project Lamb to see less targets. I mean, I feel like there is something to vacate targets if the player is, talented enough to earn those additional targets. So yeah, I think that he's going to be the next, big year 3 breakout. And yeah, I can easily see him having a top 5 season, just if anything, just for the reasons you listed, Austin, outside of Dalton Schultz, who, I mean, to me, I still think the jury is kind of out on him if he's like really an elite player or a breakout. But yeah, outside of him and, banged up Gallup, rookie Jalen Tolbert, who we've seen mixed reports on. I mean, I'm easily saying 150 plus targets, and somebody that's a playmaker like CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I'm all in on Lamb this year.
Wow. That really is like a bold take. Like the problem I have with CeeDee Lamb is like he's so talented, right? He seems so talented, but he like disappears. Like will flat out vanish in a game. And I'm like, what happened? And now this is a McCarthy offense, right? It should feed their number 1 receiver. This feels like a Dak problem. And I'm about to get some heat from Cowboys fans here, but I'm about to say this. Dak Prescott is a very average or below quarterback in the NFL. I've never seen a guy held to a pedestal where he never earned it. Like they're just like he's fantastic. He's elite. And I'm like, in what way? Like in what way is he elite? Like why don't they win? Like why don't they win? Like, they never win. They don't win anything ever. Like they're just bad all the time. And it's like, oh, but Dak's good and the rest of the team's crap. They had the best O-line for a while. They had the best running back for a while. They had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb for a while and Dalton Schultz. Like I feel like
he does get a pass.
I feel like Dak Prescott's kind of the king of garbage time. Like, I feel like he kind of is a garbage time quarterback. Like, he just doesn't win. He doesn't close. Like, and that's my big problem with Dak is I think Dak is very afraid to feed a guy. And so Dak will look everywhere all over the field. And sometimes like that's to his detriment, right? Like sometimes when you need a play, just go to the good guy. Like I don't want you throwing like an absolute must-have third down conversion last year to like Michael Gallup when you had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Like, don't do that. Like Aaron Rodgers didn't do that.
But here's the thing. Okay, I do not blame Dak Prescott for this because they don't scheme their number one receivers open. They don't have plays where they're like, we are getting CeeDee Lamb the ball no matter what fucking happens. Right? Like that's what other offenses do that make their number one quarterback or their number one receiver so effective is they're like, I don't care how many guys you try and put on Cooper Kupp. He is going to get open and we are going to feed him the ball. That's my first thing. The second thing is that the problem that happened with this Cowboys offense last year that I wish I had wrote this down. And if I knew we were going to be talking about CeeDee Lamb, I would have wrote it down. But Robert Mays was talking about on the Athletic Football Show how basically when teams blitzed Dallas last year, they were incredible. And Dak was incredible at getting the ball down the field to his receivers like CeeDee Lamb. And so teams were like, all right, fine, we won't blitz. And they didn't adjust. And so then all of a sudden
But did they not adjust or did Dak not adjust?
You have to, it's both. You have to scheme to play the way the defense is playing you. Like Dak can't just say like, oh, let me design a new offense by myself when he has Kellen Mond and Mike McCarthy telling him, oh, go play these plays.
And he doesn't like call the right audibles. I feel like every time he audibles, it's the wrong call.
Exactly.
Like,
he runs
and
right
no one, and me and my dad will joke about this all the time. Dak Prescott drafts Dak Prescott in fantasy football. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I've never seen a man call his own number more in, like, the goal line situation where he shouldn't than Dak Prescott. Like, it's insane. Like, I don't know. And, like, my buddy's a huge Cowboys fan, and, like, every time I bring this up, he just yells at me about it. And I'm like, what has he done that's so spectacular that, like, we have to, like, anoint him this fantastic quarterback? He just is kind of good at everything but not great at anything. Like he's basically Kirk Cousins.
That was the exact the comparison I was going to bring up. So yeah, I definitely agree with you that he's not in that elite range that a lot of people like to put him in, but for fantasy wise and his receivers, yeah, I think he could easily be that Kirk Cousins type that is good enough to get somebody as talented as Lamb into that top 5 range.
So he's at least a tier above Kirk Cousins. Like he's not both in fantasy and in the NFL. Like that's just
I don't know. I'm not putting him there. Actually,
if you put Dak Prescott in Minnesota's offense, you're telling me they wouldn't win the NFC.
As a matter of fact, I have Kirk Cousins as my QB 15.
Last year.
I have Kirk Cousins as my QB 15 and Dak as my QB 16. So I actually do have Kirk Cousins above him.
You also have Justin Fields as your quarterback 5. So like I already know that I'm not paying attention to that.
That's true.
I'm with you on the Fields hype. Another one of my guys.
Yeah. See, it is the way. That is the way. All right. Let's talk about tight ends. And this one is probably the most confusing player right now that I'm trying to figure out their value. Darren Waller, is he better or worse than the tight end 5?
I guess I'll go with this one. I'll go ahead and take the over, or I'll say he'll be slightly better. So I guess if I ranked it out, I would still have him in that 4 or 5 range, kind of right behind Kelsey Andrews. I still prefer Kittle over Waller, so Waller would kind of come in right at 4 for me.
So Pitts falls behind Waller.
Oh, you know what? Nope. Yep, you're right. I'm overlooking Pitts. Yeah, Pitts. So yeah, you're right. Waller would kind of be in that 5 range, but. Again, if I had to call it, I would still call the better. So I think he would slip in over either like Kittle or Pitts or someone, or even maybe even Andrews takes a step back if Bateman steps up.
It's going to be Travis Kelce, just to let you know.
Oh, that's a hot take for you.
Travis Kelce's my tight end 5. You heard it here first.
Oh man, yeah, that's a super hot take. yeah, I just think because of the landscape of tight end. I mean, first of all, he doesn't really have much competition. Like outside of the 5 that we named, even if he has a down year, I don't think he falls outside of that 5 or 6. But again, I believe that just adding Adams will actually end up helping him out. Just being on the offense. I mean, he's not that you're ever putting your number 1 corner on Darren Waddle on a regular basis. Maybe somebody like Ramsey would shadow him, but I mean, now it's probably going to be, if you're bracketing Adams, then you got Waller 1-on-1 with either a slot corner, linebacker, or safety on a constant basis, and Renfro is doing what he's doing in the middle of the field. I think things can kind of open up from down the field. And again, like I said, there's not much competition in the tight end landscape, so top 4 or 5 doesn't even have to be crazy numbers for him.
He feels like the tight end version of the running back dead zone, right? Like because he's going to cost like a 3rd round pick, I feel like, and I'm just like, that's too early to draft him, right? Like it's just too early. I don't know if I can justify Darren Waller not being the guy anymore. He's probably the 3rd option, honestly, now, because Renfro's came on strong and Adams is Devontae Adams, so that's gonna. Austin, where do you have him? I need to know.
Yeah, so I am going to say that he finished his higher than tight end 5 this year. And I think I agree with Andrew's point that I think having Devontae Adams in this offense actually does really help Darren Waller. They're not going to be able to just focus on Waller the way that they have in the past. Also, Waller missed several games last year, and that's part of the reason he had a quote-unquote down season. But I think that he ends up – and also the – Las Vegas Raiders, they just had a volatile season overall. Like they had so much going on from week to week between
insane
coaching drama, the Henry Ruggs situation. Like it was just they were set up to fail from the get-go. And so I kind of see last year as a bit of an outlier for Waller. So I can see him easily finishing in the top 5. And he's going in the 4th round by ADP in drafts right now. I feel fairly comfortable with that. Like if I'm getting a tight end early, I'm doing it in the first 4 to 5 rounds, which means I'm almost always getting a tight end in the first 4 to 5 rounds because I don't
want to play that game.
I don't want to play that game. I'm very vocal about the fact that I hate the tight end position in fantasy football. And because of that, I would just bite the bullet, draft a tight end early so I don't have to stress about it later on.
Yeah. If I don't get, I feel like if I don't get Pitts or Andrews, I'm probably just gonna punt
Travis Kelce
on the position. No, I don't want Travis Kelce.
Right, he's definitely not getting him. He has him ranked 5. Not even close.
So, all right, those were pretty solid takes right there. So we're gonna move on to our next segment. And this one's a little bit fun. So let's get to it. Week 1 is almost upon us, and we have some fun matchups coming up. We've all waited so long. We've made it.
Yes.
Like winter has come and gone, and we've survived the White Walkers, and now it's time to play some football. Our first matchup, I want to know, would you start or sit? Are you comfortable starting, or are you much more comfortable sitting Drake London against the New Orleans Saints in Week 1?
So I'll take this one first because, this is my boy on the Falcons home team. So I'm going to sit Drake London just mostly because I don't like starting rookies Week 1 in fantasy football. And that might make me too conservative of a player because I'm playing for the floor and not the upside. But I tend to just never start rookies Week 1. I drafted Justin Jefferson when he was a rookie, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep him on my bench for the first few weeks and see what he does there. But not only that, the New Orleans Saints defense is nothing to mess with, particularly that secondary. I mean, if you get some of those guys going one-on-one against Drake London, like he's going to get the heat Week 1. It's going to be a very different ball game from what he had during the preseason. And last season, New Orleans was 18th against wide receivers in PPR leagues. So they don't give up a lot of scoring to the receiver position. I'd say the one thing that is in favor of starting Drake London is I do imagine the Falcons will be losing this game. And so they will need to pass the ball to try and pull out some miracle against the Saints. But I don't feel super comfortable about it until I see what this offense looks like for 4 quarters of a regular season game.
All right. Andrew, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could make a good argument here, but I'm 100% with you. I mean, he's going to see a lot of Marshawn Lattimore probably. I'm actually pretty sure he hasn't returned to practice yet from the knee injury, which at this point, I mean, are we starting to get concerned? Because
probably, yeah.
This was what 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's been out of practice, but again, even the elite rookies like Jefferson and Chase, they didn't really come out of the gate strong. Like you kind of just have to sit on them and wait for them to kind of have that.
They do wind up being very touchdown dependent, right? Like early in their,
for sure,
like early seasons, yeah.
Yep, and we don't really. Unfortunately, Austin, we don't really project a lot of touchdowns out of the Falcons offense at this point. So I'm excited to see what Drake does. But I'm definitely not starting him against Nola.
All right, well, sit Drake London. That's consensus. All right, let's get this one. Kareem Hunt against Carolina, Week 1. Do we like Kareem Hunt this week?
I guess I'll go first. To me, Kareem Hunt over the last couple of years has always just kind of been an overrated fantasy asset, at least in my eyes. So I mean, I know he has the end of the year finishes a lot of times. They kind of we look back and say, oh, Kareem Hunt was an RB1 or top 24. But I mean, when you look week to week, a lot of it is just kind of touchdown dependent. When he gets those like blow up games where he's either vulturing from Chubb or he breaks off a 40 or 50 yard touchdown play. He's really not a reliable or predictable starter week to week, and especially when you're seeing guys like Ford and Dearness Johnson kind of merge out of the backfield. I mean, I know it's preseason, but like those dudes legit look good.
Dearness Johnson is a good football player, just buried in a depth chart that he shouldn't be. Like, why not just trade him? Like, someone needs him. Someone could use him.
You would think so, but I feel like just the market for RBs in general is just so tough. Like you rarely see these RBs actually get traded.
Yeah, he like looks so good sometimes, and I'm like, is Nick Chubb actually good, or is it just like schemed so cleanly that like why is because Dearness Johnson's like, oh, I'll throw up 100-yard game, and it's like
everybody didn't put back there.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone's just like running for 5 yards a carry, and then they're like, well, Nick Chubb's the best pure runner in the NFL. I'm like, is he? Because like he's replaceable by anybody.
Apparently, right? But I just Hunt. He's just he's typically somebody that I'm always picking somebody else on the board around him. So I'm probably not gonna start him personally.
Not even as a flex.
No, probably not. I'll probably have look for a receiver with some more upside.
All right, Austin, you starting Kareem Hunt?
Most likely not. It depends a bit on my lineup. I would consider him in a flex spot. And the main reason for that is this is going to be a revenge game for Baker Mayfield. I think Carolina started the year hot last year. I think they do it again. They've got Christian McCaffrey back and a pissed off Baker Mayfield. So I think they're going to be leading. And I imagine that when they get in the lead, that Kareem Hunt's going to get more snaps because he tends to be utilized more in the pass game. So I think the game script might lend itself towards Kareem Hunt, but I don't expect this to be a terribly high-scoring matchup. So unless it's like Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, I'm avoiding most players in this matchup in Week 1. I would consider Kareem Hunt in a flex spot, but no Visca.
So I will let you guys know that Kareem Hunt's going around the 8th or 9th round in redrafts, which is a starter spot, right? Like that's where a starter is drafted. So you guys think he's being overdrafted in that case?
No, I think over the season, like he is good enough and consistent enough to be a solid starter. And really 8th, 9th spot. I mean, if you haven't drafted a quarterback by that point, you're starting to dip into your bench a little bit, depending on how many roster spots your league has. So I think that's pretty appropriate. Like he's a player that is really good to have on your bench, particularly if Nick Chubb gets hurt and you can start as a flex spot. He's a great bye week fill-in. He's also someone that you're going to struggle to trade for or get off the waivers. So I think drafting him there is fine. I don't feel like he's being overdrafted right now.
See, I won't have any shares because I think he actually is not as good as like a lot of people say when Chubb is out. Like when you go back and look at the time that Chubb missed, I want to say those were actually his worst games for some reason.
Kareem Hunt can't fill in for him Dearness Johnson time. It's
exactly right. Kareem Hunt did not do nearly as good as Dearness did filling in for Chubb. Like I'll say that. But yeah, I feel like there's probably going to be some, like I said, some other wide receiver in that 8 or 9 round range that I'm going to take a shot on 9 times out of 10 over Hunt.
I'm with you. I view Kareem Hunt. I think the reason he's not succeeding as much in Cleveland is I think Kareem Hunt's just a very elite third down option, right? Like he's a really good pass catching back. He can do the first and second down stuff, but he's at his best when he's kind of in open space, right? And just gets that kind of going. I think he struggles sometimes between the tackles, and I think that just can kind of hurt him.
Which is why if Carolina is leading and they're playing more from behind, it would lend itself to having him in a flex spot.
Yes. So I don't foresee. So, all right, I'm going to put this out there because we got time, and I'm just going to say this. Everyone who's expecting Baker Mayfield to just pop off because he's a Carolina Panther now and like he's playing the Browns, he has something to prove. Like he's had something to prove the entire time. He's the number 1 overall pick, and if that's not motivation enough for you to like be good, I don't think getting traded and being like you're bad is going to be enough to get him going. I think Baker Mayfield is just bad.
He was hurt last year.
Yeah, like, what about the years before? He's just not good. He's not that great. He's like fine.
I mean, yeah, he's had some pretty good moments.
From an NFL perspective, like he can win you games.
He's a low-end starter. He's a low-end starter. Like he's a bridge quarterback at this point. Like that's what I view him as.
Every quarterback that's gone to Carolina in the past 4 years has been a bridge quarterback. So yeah, of course he's a bridge quarterback, but I
just mean in general. Like you can't rely on Baker Mayfield to be like your franchise guy anymore. Like the Cleveland Browns tried, and give him credit. They tried for Baker Mayfield. They could have had Lamar Jackson, but they didn't. If I was the GM there, they would have. And, that would have been fine. But no one wanted to hire me. So, you got Baker Mayfield, and now you have Deshaun Watson. So, deal with that.
I typically don't buy into the revenge narratives, but if there is any player to buy it, it's got to be Baker, right? Like the dude is just.
But like, here's the thing: is the Browns don't like him either. Like the players didn't like him, so Myles Garrett's going to come after him with everything he has. Watch out! Helmets might swing. Helmets might swing. Like he may just come out to start bashing him over the head just to like send a message. Yeah, like everyone's like, well, Baker's going to be out for blood. Well, so are the Browns because they hated him. Like it just was a bad combination.
Yeah, sure. So, cannot wait to see that game.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game. There's going to be a brawl that breaks out, right? It's absolutely going to happen. If there's an over-under, if a brawl breaks out, I'm like, I will take money on that. So
it'll be like a joint practice fighting every 10 minutes.
Literally, it'll just be like that Aaron Donald practice. He'll have like Myles Garrett will up into 2 helmets and just start swinging like mad. Like,
he's got to get a 3rd helmet now because Aaron Donald's one up to him.
He's going to have his. He's going to be headbutting people and like bashing everyone else. It's going to be wild. So, all right. Speaking of wide receivers in your flex spot, Hunter Renfrow. Austin, start us out. Do you feel good about starting Hunter Renfrow?
Well, I took some notes on this because
I'm playing the Chargers.
Yeah, he's playing the Chargers. I mean, it's a little bit tough. So the Chargers last year actually were pretty good against receivers. They averaged giving up about 30 points to receivers last season, but they averaged giving up 17 points a game to tight ends. And so this could be a big Darren Waller game. And between that and Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow could be a forgotten man in this offense. I will say if I have Hunter Renfrow, I'm playing him this week, though, because, oh my gosh, it's the AFC West and it's the Los Angeles Chargers playing Las Vegas. Like, it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's one of the highest total lines on the slate for the week. I think the over-under is set at like 52 points. So there's going to be a lot of gunslinging, and I want access to whatever part of that offense I can get. Although I will also just note that the Los Angeles Chargers also averaged 27 points to running backs per game last year. Now, they've been working on that defense, so maybe they have figured out their run game.
Yeah, remember,
defense,
they brought in Khalil Mack, so that you're not going to have time to sit back in that pocket for too long anymore.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but hey, Vegas is saying that it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I'm going to run with that and get as much access to this offense as I can.
Andrew, you agree?
Yep. Again, I'm pretty much with Austin here. So my philosophy with Renfrow is pretty much any like high high expected scoring games, so over 50 points over under, I'll probably like flex him in. And versus lower scoring games that expected, I'm probably not gonna play him too much. Because I'm of the same mindset that I think it'll be Devontae Adams and Darren Waller over Renfrow. And I'm sure he'll have his moments in his game, because I mean he's a good player. He's a good athlete, and he's a good player, really underrated player. Yeah. I remember I was watching what was that podcast, The Pivot, and Ryan Clark were just talking about how underrated Renfrow is and how he just doesn't really get his respect.
I think if Hunter Renfrow was a better looking guy, he'd be more respected.
It's that picture, the picture that he's taking of like with no shirt, holding the grapes.
It's the comb over. It's just the whole thing's like bad start to finish. Like it's a rough.
You don't want that on your fantasy team.
Yeah, sometimes I go through my fantasy team, right, and I want to see. I'm not gonna lie. Like I like looking at my lineup. I'm like, oh, it's a good looking lineup, right? Like you don't want ugly people on your lineup. It messes everything up.
Like, you want to intimidate people off the bus.
Right? That's right. Like I'm the pretty team. Like I pick my players like Belichick does. It's all handsome people. Like just really good looking guys.
Beauty contest. But I think he'll do fine in the blowout games, but he could easily just kind of get lost behind the two target hogs in Adams and Waller.
Yeah. So all right, I have my last start sit, and it's one of my favorite players in the NFL. Do you feel comfortable starting Chris Godwin week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys? Andrew, start us off.
I'll definitely be tempted, but man, I got burned by Cortland Sutton last year so much. I can't trust these receivers coming off the ACL, especially somebody like Godwin who tore his in November or December.
Yeah, maybe even December, I think.
Yeah. So it has not even close to a full year. So I'm still holding in Dynasty. He's probably actually a good Dynasty buy right now, but as far as redraft, I'm probably gonna end up staying away from Godwin, because I think he's still being drafted as like a top 24 receiver, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and that's funny enough where I have him. I'm pretty bullish on Chris Godwin, and that might be my hard talk. And I have him at my wide receiver 12. I think with TB12 back there, and I truly believe at full health, Chris Godwin is one of the top 6 wide receivers in the NFL. Just period, end of story. Like he's just that good. I think he made a mistake, honestly, re-signing in Tampa. He could have gone somewhere and made a lot of money, like Chicago, and really solidified himself as a star. But Austin, do you feel comfortable starting Chris Godwin week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I think the thing here that I'm concerned about is, do we even think he starts? I don't know. I could see him not playing week 1. I haven't seen a report saying that he is locked in for week 1. And so I'm going to be watching the injury report at noon to make sure that he's starting. And if he starts, I'm playing him, because he's Chris Godwin. He's getting passes from Tom Brady. And the spread for this matchup is 1.5 points. This is going to be a tight game, which I think is going to, again, lend itself to a lot of passing opportunities. And Tom Brady, Tampa Bay already is passing the ball plenty. So
you got it right the first time.
Starts,
Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, but
the Tampa Bay Tom Brady's.
The scheme, yeah. The Tampa Bay's going to throw the ball a ton, and if Chris Godwin's on the field, he is always potential to have 5 to 10 receptions and a touchdown. I do worry a little bit about him coming off slow from the ACL injury, but if he's starting, I'm going to play him just because of the upside. I feel this is a little bit different than kind of the take I had earlier on Drake London, where I have some uncertainty with him, but the uncertainty with him is I've never seen him play in the NFL, right? Chris Godwin, right. I know what he looks like in the NFL, and sure, he might be coming slow off of injury, but the thing is, if he starts, it's probably because he feels good. I don't think Tampa Bay's going to rush him back, right? He's got a 3-year contract. They need him for the next 3 seasons to keep them competitive. So I imagine if he starts, he's going to be looking pretty good, and I will be starting him in my lineup.
So I just want to say this for all our listeners and for you guys as well. So I am a huge Chris Godwin fan, and my Twitter will back that up. This podcast was very close to being called the Glory Be to Godwin podcast. So
that's awesome.
That was my fantasy team last year, and that was the podcast I wanted to start. And
I might steal that name.
Episode title.
Yeah, this is the episode title. Like for sure, it is the Glory Be to Godwin episode.
Nice.
For some reason, I do title my episodes on like Spotify and stuff. I don't just call it like episode 1, episode 2. Like my last one was Get Swifty.
Ooh,
so
nice.
like
a little foreshadowing there too with the new album release.
Who's releasing a new album?
Oh, me? Taylor Swift, Swifty. Okay.
Oh yeah,
I guess that's the only one that.
I was like, am I releasing an album? I don't know about it. Or am I? No, I'm not. So that would be something.
Check the SoundCloud.
Check the SoundCloud.
Hey man, I need Julio to have one more big year. He can't, like, Julio cannot go out like he did.
I agree. Yes. Let's talk about this. I'm actually going to forego this next segment, and we're going to talk a little bit about Julio Jones instead, because that's actually a way more compelling topic. What do we think about Julio Jones? Are we okay with Julio Jones? Like, we drafting him? We're in?
Oh man. I hyped up Julio so much last year. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you idiots let Julio fall. I mean, at this point, again, my redraft ADP is a bit off, but do you have any idea what we're looking at?
I can pull him up.
Yeah,
it's not like when he was on the field, he was just like terrible. It wasn't like an Allen Robinson situation where, he's active and starting and playing, and you're just like, what happened to him?
His ADP is currently 151.
Yeah, he's going as according to Fantasy Pros, wide receiver 61.
Oh, okay. Yes, I mean, if you're grabbing Julio at the end, right, that makes me feel a lot better about it. So I mean, if you could pick him up at the end where guys like, Chenault or whatnot are going, then why not? Because again, like I was saying before, it wasn't like a situation where Allen Robinson, where he was playing all the snaps and we just weren't getting any numbers. He just couldn't finish the games. Yeah, Hammies kept giving out on him. But I think, like, if he's active and healthy, then he can pop off at any time. So at that price, I'm fine with Julio.
Yeah, my only problem here is like, he could pop off anytime, but when? And that's why I will be avoiding him in redraft, is I don't know that I'll be able to predict what weeks he'll be on versus off. Now, if Godwin isn't starting week 1, maybe Julio gets more time in the lineup. If Russell Gage gets hurt.
Julio's the number 3 receiver there now, right? Like, that's what I'm seeing. It seems to be. Now, Tom Brady has a way, like that little father time magic he has. He turns back that clock a little bit on guys.
Tom Brady will lock him.
I mean,
like what AB did. AB was pretty much a part-time player, but he was a borderline wide receiver 1 because when he was on the field
last year, he was gross
Brady knew exactly how to use him. And I also think Brady will throw to him in the end zone, or in the red zone.
Julio Jones really suffered. I'm sorry, Austin. Julio Jones suffered because of Matt Ryan.
Stop.
Julio Jones suffered.
He suffered because he has hamstring issues, because he's aging and he can barely stay on the field. Do not come at me with this Matt Ryan bull crap.
Matt Ryan. And also, boo Matt Ryan this year too. He's trash. All right? Trash.
Well, hey, I need him to hold up my boy Pittman.
He's not gonna. He's not gonna. So I'm gonna let you know right now. If he couldn't support Julio Jones, he can't support Michael Pittman. Like, it's just
Julio Jones was never on the field.
Julio Jones didn't want to be on the field. He was embarrassed. That's what was going on.
He refused to play.
He's like, you're not gonna throw to me in the end zone. I'm 3 feet taller than everyone else out here, and you're not throwing to me in the end zone.
Yeah, you're 3 feet taller until you're reaching down for your hamstring because it got pulled again.
Yeah, Julio Jones deserved better in his career than Matt Ryan. You give him Tom Brady, and he breaks Moss's touchdown record, no doubt.
Okay,
love it. Yeah, no Gronk. He's about to slide right into that Gronk roll.
Okay,
put him as a tight end. Put him as a tight end. He'd be the greatest ever. He's got another 5 years in the league if you put him at tight end.
Okay. So my thing with Julio Jones for fantasy is that I worry about the injuries. He might be the wide receiver 3, but again, like, this is one of those things I want to see it on the field before I feel good about it. And where he's going in fantasy drafts, like, okay, why not take the dart throw? But he's not somebody I'm starting week 1, right? Like, I'm taking him to see what happens, and I might throw a dart on him in a best ball league to see what happens. But
what if Godwin is inactive week 1? Would you do it?
if Godwin is inactive week 1,
would you
see,
flex
I don't
Julio
know,
week
because
1?
here's the thing. Scotty Miller, he's not a bad football player, and he's maybe not who we want for fantasy football.
We
but
are
from
not
an NFL
putting Julio
perspective-
Jones's name in the same conversation as Scotty Miller, are
No,
we?
I'm just saying, if Chris Godwin is inactive, I could see them have Mike Evans and Russell Gage be the 1 and the 2,
I forgot
and
about Russell
Julio
Gage.
Jones and Scotty Miller rotating
Look at that,
in as
another
the
guy that
third
Matt
running
Ryan
back.
ruined. Russell Gage. 2 guys went and got rescued.
Stop.
Gage isn't that good.
Okay.
They went to Tom Brady to be rescued by Matt Ryan. All right, that's the end of the Matt Ryan slander.
Refugees.
He said, "Come to me, I'll save you." But we have reached the end of our show, which means I get to ask you guys rapid fire questions because, well, it's my show and I can do whatever I want. So, ready? This is going to be, we're just going to start with Andrew, then we'll go to Austin, and it's just answer off the top of your head as best you can, okay? These have nothing to do with football at all. This is to get to know you guys as people. I'm interested. Listeners are interested. Let's start. Andrew, who's your favorite artist or band right now?
John Legend. That's easy. I named my dog after him.
Austin.
Yellow card.
Awesome. Andrew, what's your useless talent?
Oh man. All right, this is completely random, but I have a good knack for so let's say I'm finished like watching a show or something, and I'm switching to a different device. I have a good knack of knowing exactly where I left off the show and like putting it where I need to watch it and dropping it there and boom, there.
All right.
Just putting it right there. So
that feels very useful.
And the only reason I brought that up because I was just joking with my wife about it a couple hours ago because I couldn't think of anything.
Andrew's just like, we were 26 minutes and 34 seconds into the show. Bang!
Exactly. Yeah, but seriously though, I'm like, oh wow, that was exactly where I watched it. That happens all the time. So that's all I got.
Austin, what's your useless talent?
I once memorized 403 digits of pi.
Was it like a competition?
Yeah, I held the record for the county I grew up in for a couple of years.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's a flex of some sort.
How many can you get to now?
Is that how you met your partner and you're like, I know 403 digits of
No,
pi.
actually, my pickup line was, I really know how to make a good chicken.
That was it.
Yeah. Look, it's a joke to this day, but no lie, for whatever reason, first date, I thought I would flex on the fact that I can make really good chicken for dinner. She stuck with me.
I mean,
it worked. So maybe more people should be offering their culinary chicken skills. Andrew, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm pretty basic, chocolate.
Awesome.
Yeah, same. I'm chocolate, very basic.
All right. What emoji do you guys use most often?
For me, it's the laughing emoji with the little sweat thing.
Okay.
I think mine is the laughing emoji, but like just not the one where it's angled a bit, so it's like extra laughing, rolling over laughing, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
with the tears.
Yeah, I think that's mine too. Actually, that might be mine. All right. How about this? Are aliens real?
I would say yes, but not like what we see on TV.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, at first I was like, no, but I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty confident I believe that life on other planets. Like, I know that, I believe in that, but then I was like,
it's like no, maybe yes.
The aliens from the Jimmy Neutron movie, like, nah, that ain't happening. But
all right,
something's out there.
Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite random fact?
Fact about anything.
I'll tell you what, I'll start with mine. If space wasn't a vacuum, the sun would make all of us go deaf. It's so loud.
Really? It's loud, huh?
Yeah, it's that loud.
So is it just like the gases?
It's just like with everything exploding. Yeah, it's just so loud. It would just like deafen all of us.
Gases erupted. That reminds me. All right, never mind. I thought of one. Oh, I read this once. Did you know an ostrich's eyeballs are bigger than its brain?
Oh, that's weird. That's a weird
apparently they're really stupid.
That's a weird one.
Yeah,
That's a
stuck
good
out to me.
one.
That is a weird one. I was gonna like throw a fantasy football one in here and be like, did you know that Dave Montgomery was the top 10 running back weeks 10 to 17? Because I love that fact. But this guy's actually purple, but our eyes can't recognize the frequency of the light waves that come from the sky, so we see it as blue, but it's actually purple.
Oh, I have another
I've
one.
never heard
So a
that.
lot of people think that the moon is a meteor that got caught in Earth's orbit. It is not. The Earth was hit by a meteor, and it's a hunk of Earth spinning in our orbit. So when you stepped on the moon, you just stepped on dried out Earth. So that wasn't that much of an accomplishment. All right, last question, guys. Did you have fun?
Oh, absolutely, man. This was a blast.
Awesome.
I did until you started talking shit about Matt Ryan.
I ruined his experience.
I was fine, and then I got all fired
That
up
was
and
pretty
pent
harsh,
up
Steve.
energy.
Yeah. Austin's like, do not tag me in any of this. I don't want to be associated with this show and bleep out everything I've said. Guys, thank you so much for being on here. Everyone listening, make sure to like, share, follow these two on Twitter because they're giving out the good stuff. Remember, backfields are meant for bell cows. Fantasy is meant to be in a committee. Here we do not believe it's goodbye. It's just till next time. Guys, till next time, thank you so much. Have a great night, and we'll see you later.
See you.